Okay, move that off of the record button so it doesn't stop on me like it did yesterday or last time. Hey everyone, Slambo here, hopping on another thread, this time finally getting onto the jazz vinyl tag. As a classic jazz collector, jazz from the period before World War II, before we really got into the hard bop, primarily. I've got a lot of jazz, old jazz in my collection, so I thought it would be fun to at least try it out and see how far I got. And I actually got pretty far. There's only one where I have to take a pass on, and we'll get up to that. Um, it's one that I definitely have to work on in the future. But anyway, starting out, the first two questions I'm going to combine because they're really kind of the same for me. So the album that got you into jazz and the first jazz album that you bought. They're really two separate questions in the list, but I'm combining them both. And I'm going to say Glenn Miller Lost Recordings and Secret Broadcasts. So this is the first one that I remember buying. It's probably not the first record that I actually bought. And by the way, most of what I've got today for this is going to be CDs. So I'm going to use the term record and CD kind of interchangeably. But anyway, this is the first one that I remember buying. And it's the first one that I really listened to thoroughly in my jazz listening history. Uh, when I started out, as I mentioned on the interview a while back on Rachel's channel, I'd learned to play piano at a young age, and that got me into ragtime. And I started into listening into Dixieland. And then the next thing that I knew about was big band. So that was the first, that's really what led me to buying Glenn Miller because that was the only real big name that I knew in big bands. And then I just expanded out from that. So the collection that you're going to see expands out from Glenn Miller, basically. So the next question is something that you own on Blue Note. And the next series of questions are the ones that I was surprised that I was actually able to find anything on. So for Blue Note, I'm going with Albert Ammons and Meade Lux Lewis. This is an album called The First Day. It's a compilation of the two pianists just having fun with it. This is almost more towards boogie woogie than anything else, but it does count as jazz. The two played in a lot of the orchestras in the early days, which is of course not listed on the back here, but it does have the little Blue Note label there on the corner. So that's the my selection for a record on Blue Note. The next one, a record that you own on Prestige. Well, again, we'll stick with the CDs. This is probably my favorite jazz album cover. And this is the Trombone by Three with J.J. Johnson, Sonny Rollins, and Kenny Dorham on trumpet. And then we've also got John Lewis, Leonard Gaskin, Max Roach, Kai Winding, Brew Moore, Jerry Mulligan, George Wallington, Curly Russell, Roy Haynes, Benny Green, Big Nick Nicholas, Rudy Williams, Teddy Brannon, Tommy Potter, and even Art Blakey shows up on drums on this one. So this is a real fun one. That's especially, I really love the cover on this one because I grew up watching Mystery on PBS, and they used a lot of Edward Gorey style artwork in the opening of that show. So that's my selection for a record on Prestige. And if we go and we find, there it is right up there on the corner. There's the Prestige LP number. So the next question, a record you own on Impulse. This one is one that I got as a gift from the person who is now my wife, and that's Coltrane's Love Supreme. I've grown to like this a lot more, and this one, they even have their website down there at the bottom, impulserecords.com. So this one, it took me a while to get into really enjoying this one, but since I've gotten into it, I've really enjoyed it a lot more, and I'm seeking out more in that style as well. But let's see, a record you on Riverside. We go back in time again. We go back to Meade Lux Lewis. This one is the blues piano artistry of Meade Lux Lewis, and there's the Riverside logo right there above it, right there at the top. So we've got 10 tracks on this, so not quite as long as the other Meade Lux Lewis and Albert Ammons record that I showed just a moment ago, but still really fun, really great to listen to. Next one on the list, a record you own on contemporary. This is the one I'm going to have to take a pass on. So far, I don't have anything that's in my catalog that from contemporary records. I will need to go search out and find some. Or until then, I will just enjoy what I've got from older jazz. The next question on the list, a record you own on a subsidiary or small jazz label. Well, the small jazz label is the one that I'm picking for this one, and that's Hot String Swing Records. And the record that I'm showing for that is Caravan Gypsy Swing Ensemble, The Waiting Game. This is a local art or a local band and a local record company. Hot String Swing Records is the basically a private pressing label for Caravan, but they've pressed a few other bands on that label as well. So that counts as a small label and not just a private label. They're both based here in Madison, and I get to see at least Chris. He's on my Facebook friends list. So Chris Rippenthal is the leader of the Caravan Gypsy Swing Ensemble. So it's always got a close one for me. Next one on the list. Let's see. Record you own that not many people know about but should. I'm going to go with an artist on this one rather than a single record. Oscar Aleman. He's from South America. I think he's Argentinian, if I remember correctly. Oscar Aleman is a gypsy swing guitarist, very much in the style of Django Reinhardt, but sings everything or as much as he can in Spanish. Being from Argentina, I spent actually a summer in Argentina, so that's another thing that gets me into listening to Oscar Aleman. This is also 1930s, early 40s era, but really hot swinging stuff. He's got some songs on here that people would know. So on this record, for example, we've got let's see, I just saw it on there. There's the Joe Louis Stomp. There's China Boy. In the Mood is on here. Bésame Mucho. Tico Tico is on here, and that one is credited as Oscar Aleman y su Quinteto de Swing. So in English, that's Oscar Aleman and his Swing Quintet. On this one, Swing Guitar Masterpieces, this is a 2-disc set. We've got tracks like Limehouse Blues, Sweet Georgia Brown, In the Mood shows up on here as well. Bye Bye Blues, there's another copy of Limehouse Blues, so on disc 1, tracks 2 and 21 are both Limehouse Blues. You Made Me Love You, Cherokee, Honeysuckle Rose. On disc 2, we've got Lady Be Good, Sentimental Journey, Bugle Call Rag, 12th Street Rag, Digga Digga Doo, Dolores, April in Portugal instead of April in Paris, Tiger Rag, and it ends with T for Two. Both of them are up-tempo, hot gypsy swing, small group recordings of a lot of well-known early jazz songs, and some that are lesser known and more known in the Latin American world. If you don't know Oscar Aleman, look him up and get some of his records. They are definitely worth it, especially if you're into the hot gypsy swing like I am. Next question on the list is, let's see, where do we go? Here it is. Favorite jazz record bought in 2020. I did buy a couple of jazz records in 2020, but I'm going to go with one that's not listed as a jazz record, but I think is very jazzy in itself, and that's Winter Gatan. Now, I talked about this group in, let's see if we can get it without the glare. It's a black record cover, so it's kind of hard to, maybe on this side. No, we can't really. Black record covers kind of hard to avoid the reflections, especially when I've got my big window right there so I can get most of the light on my face. Winter Gatan is a Swedish group. It's listed as synth pop, but I think this sounds very jazzy, and especially very much like the jazz that I've listened to, or that I've been listening to from the pre-war era. The small groups, when you listen to it, yeah, you can hear the synth pop, and it is very modern, but like I said, it does sound, this is jazz to me. Winter Gatan, Martin, who's the leader of this group, is the guy building the new Marble Machine X. So if you look up Winter Gatan on YouTube, that's what almost all of his videos are about right now, is building a marble machine that plays music. It's the second iteration of the first marble machine video that went viral about 4, maybe 5 years ago. I don't remember exactly now. But he's still building it and still plans to take it on a world tour. And if he gets to anywhere nearby where I am definitely going to try to go see it. All right, next one on the question list here. Favorite record in an artist's discography. For that one, I'm going to go with Benny Goodman and his orchestra, and especially his small groups with Lionel Hampton, Gene Krupa, and I'm blanking on the pianist's name, Teddy Wilson. There it is, right there on the back. Um, all big, powerful names and really wonderful recordings. So this one is a 3 CD set. Benny Goodman, the complete RCA Victor small group recordings. As I grew in my jazz appreciation, I got more into the smaller groups, and this was right up my alley. This is just wonderful hot music. We've got tracks on here including After You've Gone, Body and Soul, Moonglow, Whispering, The Man I Love, Handful of Keys, I'm a Ding Dong Daddy by Mir Bistushane, and ends with Opus 3-4. There's a whole lot of other tracks on here as well. But this is probably my favorite of the Benny Goodman in my collection. So there's CD1, the book, and CDs 2 and 3. I can put this one into my 10-disc changer and just hit play and just let it go. Along with the one that's going to come up on another one here pretty soon. Let's see, the next question on the list is, and my discs are a little bit out of order here. Let's see, favorite record bought in a brick and mortar shop. Well, they're not out of order. It's not a single record. I'm going to go with a big box. And those of you who know me know I love Gypsy Swing. Django Reinhardt, this is the 10-disc box set from Proper Records, or Past Perfect Records, excuse me. I've got a couple of other boxes from Proper Records. 10 discs of Django Reinhardt and his swing with a whole bunch of other artists. So we've got the track listings on half on that side and half on that side. Almost anything that you know or that you can think of that Django Reinhardt has played on is on here. So we've got things on disc 1, You're Driving Me Crazy, Solitude, A Little Love, A Little Kiss, Mysteric Pacific, In a Sentimental Mood, The Chic of Araby. Then we jump down, if we look at track or CD 4, we've got Doing the New Lowdown, Body and Soul, Please Be Kind, I've got My Love to Keep Me Warm, and then we jump down to track or disc 8, for example. Let's see, we've got some of the French titles on here that I'm going to butcher when I try to pronounce them, so I'm not going to say them all. But there's Sweet Sue, Swingin' the Blues. Let's see, we've got All of Me, Pour Terminer, La Cigale et la Fourmi, and I don't know what that means. I'm sure someone who speaks French who is watching can tell me easily. Track or disc 8 ends with Hungaria. And there's, like I said, 10 discs in here. I got this at my local half-price books, and it was only 20 bucks. For 20 bucks to get that much music, heck yeah, I'm buying that. And I've shown a couple of other of these 10 disc sets on other videos before, so it's not the only one that I've gotten that's a nice big 10 disc set from Past Perfect, and it's not the only one that I got from Half Price Books either. Next one on the question list. A record you bought online. Okay, this is one that I heard about on NPR one night. I heard about it and it was exactly up my alley. It was hot string swing. It was small group. It was gypsy jazz. It was exactly what I loved. It's the John Jorgensen Quintet with Ultra Spontan. So there's the front. There's the back. We've got 12 tracks on here, and it folds out. A couple more photos there. There's the disc. This is a really hot, fun one to listen to. So that's just one that I bought online, and this is one that I knew I bought online after hearing about it. Let's see, next one, a jazz box set. I already showed a couple of them. Um, oh, I skipped one. A record a friend found for you or gifted to you. Let's go back to that one. Um, I mentioned another one that was given to me as a gift, and this is another one that came from the same person, from the person who's now my wife, John Coltrane. This is the very best of John Coltrane. 11 tracks on here. Starts off with Giant Steps. You know, everyone has to know Giant Steps. There's videos all about that one specifically, and it's really interesting to hear about how the song was made, and what it means if you really analyze the music and how he picked the chords that he did. Let's see, and then we've got Like Sunny, we've got Summertime, we've got Mr. Sims, we've got Naima, and it ends with Body and Soul. 11 tracks on here. Another one that took me a long time to really get into and really enjoy, but as I've grown in my listening career, I've really gotten to enjoy that one. So now we jump down to jazz box set. Like I said, I've shown several box sets before, but I'm going to show another box set for the question, a box set, and that's this Louis Armstrong Hot Fives and Hot Sevens. There's 4 CDs in here. It's not quite as many as the 10 disc sets, but this is another one that I can put onto my 10 disc changer and just let it play. Almost everything that you know that Louis Armstrong did with the Hot Fives and Sevens is on this set. Let's see, there's Strutting with Some Barbecue, there's Willie the Weeper, there's Chicago Breakdown, there's King of the Zulus, there's Gut Bucket Blues, Savoy Blues, Fireworks, Save It Pretty Mama, Hear Me Talkin', Symphonic Raps, Sugarfoot Stomp, Ori's Creole Blues, Ori's Creole Trombone, excuse me, SOL Blues, Potato Head Blues, Melancholy Blues, Gully Low Blues, Weary Blues, Wild Man Blues, Savoy Blues, Got No Blues, Put 'em Down Blues, Keyhole Blues. There's a whole lot of them with blues in the title on here. Dallas Blues, but I'm sure that West End Blues is on here. It must be on there somewhere, but I'm just not seeing it. Oh, I must be misremembering it on a different Hot Fives and Hot Sevens disc. But that's one of my favorite tracks that Louis Armstrong has done. All right. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so the next question on the list: a jazz 10-inch or 7-inch? I'm going to show one that I've shown recently from a recent pickup. That's Xavier Cugat Dance Parade. This is sort of bossa nova, Latin jazz style. Hot jazz. Starts off with Brazil, has the Cucaracha, Toca Tu Samba, Linda Mujer, Miami Beach Rumba, Orchids in the Moonlight, Walter Winchell Rumba, and Jack Jack Jack. Xavier Cugat and his orchestra, Dance Party on a Columbia LP, 10-inch LP. All right, next question. Most recent jazz score. Well, I showed this one also recently. This was on my quick thrift shop finds. This was the winner out of that thrift shop haul. Jeez, forgetting how to talk now. This is Jack Teagarden and his orchestra with It's Time for Teagarden. This is a compilation record, and it's got, let's see, 16 tracks on it. But I think the best part about this record, we pull it out here, all the way out so we can take a look at it. It's on red vinyl. So I love the clear red vinyl. So I listened to this one, and it's not mastered quite the way I would like. You know, the bass is a little prominent. The treble is kind of hard to find in it, so I think it could be mixed better. But it's the first Jack Teagarden that I've added to my collection as himself. Jack Teagarden, of course, played with the Paul Whiteman Orchestra in the 1930s before going off on his own with his own orchestra. Teagarden was a trombonist, so that's how you could find him in the discographies. Next question on the list: a jazz record you hope to find in 2021. I'm going to go with another name that not many people know about, but those of us who collect earlier jazz, especially pre-war and 1940s and earlier, will know, and that's the Boswell sisters. So this is the record or the album that I have by the Boswell Sisters. This is a compilation, the Art Deco series, the Boswell Sisters, That's How Rhythm Was Born. There are 20 tracks on here, and they are all mono recordings. And this is a Columbia Legacy release. You can see that down at the bottom there. Copyright 95. One of the leading vocal groups of the 1930s, the Boswell sisters epitomized in their singing the sophisticated playfulness and adventurous creativity that were the hallmarks of Art Deco itself. I call the Boswell sisters a precursor to the Andrews sisters. They had a very similar style and similar sound, but the Boswells were there first. Right? Well, maybe not first, but they were at least there before the Andrews sisters. Then the Andrews sisters got all the fame. So there's a record that the Boswells did on their own, and that's titled Connie Boswell and the Boswell Sisters. I just found that one on Discogs just this week. That's one record that I'm hoping I could find somewhere. Probably won't be finding it in the wild anywhere, and I'll probably have to just buy it. But that's the one that I would hope to find this year. All right, so the next one, a jazz record that you own that you'd like to upgrade in 2021. Well, the first jazz record that I bought in 2021 was, of course, Time Outtakes by the Dave Brubeck Quartet. I don't yet have Time Out, so that's one that's not quite an upgrade. That'll need to be an addition to my collection, but I do have Time Further Out, and I would love to get this one on vinyl. I don't have it on vinyl yet. I only have the CD. Almost everyone who's into jazz, especially mid-century jazz, should know this one. We've got It's a Raggy Waltz, Maori Blues, Unsquare Dance, Bruise Boogie Woogie, and there's also a track on here at the end, one of the bonus tracks on the CD. There's a live version of It's a Raggy Waltz that they played at Carnegie Hall. So this counts for another contest that I heard that I haven't quite entered yet, showing records that have live and studio tracks on them. I have to remember that one for that video. Let's see, next question on the list, a free jazz record. This one is almost a pass for me. I don't have any records that are completely free jazz, but if we go back to the box sets, I've got the Smithsonian Collection of Classic Jazz. This one is, let's see, I forget how many records are on here. There are 6 records, 6 LPs, and when we get to sides 10 through 12, there are a couple of free jazz tracks on here. So side 12 especially, there's a track that's credited to Ornette Coleman that's just called Free Jazz. And it even says it's just an excerpt of it. So they couldn't fit the whole thing on there. This set, I forget when I got it, but this was one of my earlier acquisitions. Comes with a nice big book showing more information about all the artists. And on the back, it has a listing of record stores where you could buy more jazz. I looked these up. The closest ones to me are in Chicago. They don't appear to be open anymore. So there's the Jazz Record Mart in Chicago. I couldn't find anything about that online anymore. The Jazzman Record Shop in Santa Monica, Rare Records in Glendale, California, Jack's Record Cellar in San Francisco. There's a guy named Jeff Forsyth in New York. There's a store called Jazzway in New Jersey, and Bill Basin, B-A-C-I-N, in Kerrville, Texas. So I don't know about any of those, but if they're still around, that'd be interesting to stop in and maybe even have the owner sign the back of the book for me, just as a little memento of jazz gone by. Okay, and the last question on the list is a desert island jazz record or jazz album. I'm gonna go with the first import CD that I bought as an import CD. I was on a mailing list, snail mail mailing list for a while, that was selling imported CDs. And this one showed up on the list, and okay, this is exactly in the period that I was interested in. It's a band that I knew, so I knew I would enjoy the music. And it's a label that I knew, so again, it should be a high quality. And this one I got from Japan. It's a Bluebird reissue of Early Ellington, 1927 to 1934. And if we look on the back, it's got the Japanese titles there next to the English titles. So we've got tracks starting with Black and Tan Fantasy, goes on with Washington Wobble, Creole Love Call. We go further down, we've got the Mooch, we've got Ring Dem Bells, Mood Indigo, Rockin' in Rhythm, Daybreak Express, Delta Serenade, Stompy Jones, and we finally end on track 22 with Solitude. So a lot of the standards that that they were known for. I'm not sure what all of these markings down here mean. That looks like a date, but that's a lot later. If that's a date, that's a lot later than when I bought it. And then over here we've got the Bluebird logo and information there, along with the price in yen right there next to it as well. So if I was going to, oh, and there's some more information there on the side, printed sideways. So if I was going to be trapped on a desert island with one jazz disc, that's the one I'm picking, because I love early jazz especially, and Duke Ellington is the one band that I really got into more than any other once I really started into collecting early jazz. So that's my entry into the jazz vinyl tag for 2021. I'm hoping there will be one next year, and by then I'm sure that I will have some more to show. So that's what I've got today. See you next time. Okay, and now we've got everything piled up over here. I gotta move it so I can I can move the mouse and actually stop the recording. Stack that up over there, hope it doesn't fall down, and stop recording.